Welcome. In this video, we are going to understand how Make actually thinks. Once you master triggers, actions, routers, and filters, you can build any workflow. The basic building blocks of Make are the triggers, actions, routers, and filters you use in creating your scenario. These are important concepts you need to understand to enable you create powerful automation. Now let's dive in and understand what triggers, actions, routers, and filters actually means. Now the first part, triggers. What is a trigger? A trigger is the starting point of any Make scenario. Think of it as a module that kickstarts your workflow. It acts as a sensor detecting specific events such as a new form submission, a fresh row in a spreadsheet, or an incoming workbook. In the previous video, we created a scenario using Google Sheet, and one of the modules helps us to watch a new row in the spreadsheet. So whenever a new row is added, the scenario starts. So that module is a trigger. Now, there are various types of triggers. The first one is the scheduled triggers, which runs at set intervals. It can run every 1 minute, it can run every 10 minutes, it can run every 15 minutes. Like in the previous video, we set our scenario to run every 1 minute. So the starting module, which is the trigger here, runs immediately. It's 1 minute, and it checks if there's a new row in the spreadsheet, then the scenario starts. Now we have instant triggers. Instant triggers, they fire immediately, such as a webhook. For example, let's say you created a website and you added a form such that users are to input their emails and other information. So once they submit the form, your automation kickstarts and you automatically send a dedicated email to such individual. So that is an example of an instant trigger. Now we also have event triggers, which triggers due to some specific occurrences like a new Slack message. When you have a new message in your Slack channel, it automatically triggers a scenario you already set. Let's say you set your automation that whenever a new message enters, you do this. So once a new message enters, automatically the required automation kickstarts. Selecting the appropriate trigger is very, very crucial. So are you expecting your scenario to run periodically, or are you expecting it to run at a particular instant for real-time responses, or do you want event triggers for specific app activities? Working with the right trigger will set the tempo for the entire workflow. So this way you need to understand, okay, do I need to wait every 1 minute for this scenario to run, or do I need to trigger it at a specific instance, or am I expecting an event before my scenario to kickstart? So all these are questions we will be asking ourselves while we are building a scenario. So this way, it will give us the best result. Now let's dive into actions. What is an action? An action is the workhorse of a Make scenario. It performs tasks like sending emails, creating Notion pages, uploading files, or posting to Instagram, and many more. Action takes the data passed from the trigger and execute specific operation. So now actions and triggers, they are more like the same thing, but the only difference is that actions are what is to be done in the scenario, while triggers are what starts the scenario. Action map incoming data to the target apps field. So example, if you start the scenario, once the scenario starts, there are some data that are already available for use. So these data will be passed to the action modules. Then the module will then use the respective data as needed. So this ensures that the information is correctly formatted and sent to the desired destination, allowing seamless integrations between different apps without manual intervention. So the action here now is helping you to ensure that you are using the right data for the right purpose. Now, before we move on, let's try to look at triggers and actions in the Make scenario. Now, this is a scenario we built in the last video. And now, if you look at this, this is the first module here, which is a Google Sheet module that watches a new row in the spreadsheet. So this is a trigger. Whenever a new row is added to the sheet, the scenario kickstarts. Now, this Google Gemini AI here is an action That is, what do we want to do next after getting this data from this sheet? What do we do next? We generate a response. That is an action. We generate a response using the information. Now, these are the data that is being sent from the Google Sheet. So with this data, you can now map it to the Gemini AI. So this Gemini AI will use the information that it needs. For example, we are using the topic here. The topic is gotten from the sheet. So we use the topic and pass it down to the Gemini AI. Then the required action, which is to generate 5 effective SEO keywords that could be used to optimize an article. So that is the action we need to perform. So that is just the simple differences between trigger and action. They are both modules, but one is to kickstart the scenario and the other is the actions that is required to be performed while the scenario executes. Now let's move to the next part, routers. Routers are decision-making modules in Make. They split the workflow into multiple parts based on condition, acting like an if-then system. So now a router is to enable you have multiple parts. Let's say you want to build a scenario and you need to upload content to Facebook, upload content to YouTube, upload content to LinkedIn, upload content to Instagram. So to achieve this, you need to use a router. So a router will enable you to have multiple parts. So you can perform multiple actions in a single scenario without having the need to create multiple scenarios. So that's the simple logic behind routers. So for example, if an email contains the word support, it can be routed to the help desk. If it contains payment, it can be sent to the finance department. This ensures that the right team receives the relevant information. So this is just a simple logic. You are expecting feedback from users. Now, if someone sends a mail that includes the word support, you know that this mail is for the support department. So you send it to the help desk. So you are able to understand, okay, this is what I need for this to happen. This is what I need for that to happen. So that way, your scenario doesn't just work without structure. So you're already building the structure with the use of routing. Now, creating multiple parts. You can create multiple parts within a single scenario, just like I mentioned for posting to Facebook, LinkedIn, and the like. So within a single scenario, you can perform all those actions. All you just need to do is drag a router onto the canvas, define your conditions, and draw routes to handle different scenarios efficiently. Now, what are the benefits of routers? Routers enhance flexibility and efficiency. They allow complex workflows to be managed within a single scenario, reducing the need for multiple workflows and simplifying automation logic. So that's how simple it is. Now, let's look into filters. What are filters? Filters act as gatekeepers in a make workflow. They ensure that data only continues if a specific condition is met. Just think of filters as your condition to continue your scenario. If A is equals to B, then continue. So that is more like you're setting a condition for something to happen. So don't confuse it with routers. Router creates multiple routes, but filter is a rule to check before continuing. Let's look at a filter usage example. You can set a filter to only send an email if the status is approved. This helps control the flow and prevent unnecessary operations. Now let's go back into make.com to understand the difference between routers and filters. Now in this scenario, we did not make use of router, but I can explain what router is by clicking on this plus button. Now if I search for router, you will see router here. Once I click on it, it automatically creates two parts already. But I can add more parts by just clicking the plus button. I can add more by clicking the plus button. So now what do I need to do? Depending on the scenario, from this module before the router, once the data is available, we are going to move to the first part of the router. Then after we are done with the first part, we move to the second part. Once we are done, we continue until we get to the fourth part. So this means that the router is helping us to create multiple parts. So from here, I can start a new scenario and continue what I need to do. And that way, We're already performing multiple actions in a single scenario. Now, how do we undo filters? A filter lives on the line between two modules. This is a line between two modules. If you click on this icon, you have multiple options of things to do. Now, this is where the filter lies. From here, you can set up a filter. So if you click on it, a new modal will pop up. Now, from this modal, you can set your filter. So the label is to enable you to give your filter a name. Then now you set your appropriate condition. So what condition do we want to work with? If email equals approve. So that way you already have a condition, then every other thing continues. So it's as simple as that. So that's just the simple differences between a router and a filter. So a router is a module. As you can see here, it is a module which gives you access to multiple paths. But a filter is just a connection between two modules. So you can set your condition between any two modules. Note, once a condition is set, your scenario will continue if only that condition is met. If not, your scenario stops. Now let's take a look at this lead routing example. Imagine receiving a new lead. The router checks the lead budget. If the budget exceeds $1,000, a Slack alert is sent to the sales team for immediate action. This ensures high-value leads are prioritized. So you're already using the advantage of router to condition your scenario to run for some specific events. Now, another alternative path is if the budget is less than $1,000, an email follow-up is queued instead. This demonstrates how routers and filters can automate tiered responses, optimizing workflow efficiency without manual sorting. So I hope that explains how you can utilize routing. So there are different concepts you can decide to use depending on how your scenario is structured. Understanding triggers, actions, and routers is very, very key. So going over it again, we know that triggers wake the workflow, actions perform tasks, routers split paths, and filters control the flow. So mastering these blocks allow you to build any automation you can imagine. So with this, you have limitless automation. Combining these elements helps you to create powerful workflow from simple notification to complex multi-app pipelines. Make becomes a versatile tool for 24/7 productivity. These tools also help you to unlock your creativity. You can turn repetitive tasks into automated workflows. This frees up time for more creative and strategic work, helping you achieve more with less effort. So that's the power of creating automations. Now you understand the logic behind Make. In the next video, we will dive into one of the most important concepts, data mapping and data types. This is where beginners level up fast. So guys, I'll see you in the next video. But then if you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn off the notification so that you'll be notified when we post our next video in the channel. I'll see you in the next video.